Richest race of the day then, the $25 million Longines Hong Kong Cup. Deauville heads them, Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore from Barrier 2. Neorealism won the QE2 Cup over course and distance last season. Poet's Word runner-up in both the Irish and English Champion Stakes on his last start. Werther only been beaten once over course and distance. Secret Weapon run-up to Morris last year. We've got Robert of Navan from the UK, Garland Gary for France. Time Warp, improved runner this season. Water Cree coming off a run in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and Blonde Me and Smart Layer. The two girls making up the field there, Oisin Murphy and Yutaka Taki in the saddle. Back at the touchscreen then for the final time here, Brett, with the likely positions on settling. Robin of Navan possibly seeing off Time Warp for the early lead?
I think it may be initially, because he is drawn inside of him, but I think eventually Time Warp will maybe want to roll on and take over, and Robin will have to take a little sit in. Neorealism is a possibility of kicking up too. The couple I want to focus on were I'm not sure whether or not from 3 they want to end up 4 back the fence, so maybe there's a little spot in here potentially available for Werther. The other one is Poet's Words drawn 12. We're going to hear from Andrea Atzeni. He sort of suggests in the interview that he'd rather be sort of looking to slot in somewhere in here. So, look, I think the horses of the pace, Time Warp, Robin of Navan, Neorealism, confirmed where they are. The ones behind, there could be some shuffling around and maybe even a potential mid-race move.
All right, bit of variation possible here, Paul.
Looks that way, doesn't it? The first one we'll have a look at here is Poet's Word, the one we just talked about. He's going really nicely. He's settled in well here in Hong Kong, and he's had a couple of really good workouts in the morning as Poet's Word. I'm just finishing off. Here's Werther with Midnight Rattler. Midnight Rattler obviously racing on the card as well. Werther's coming through the inside. He's spot on. He's cherry ripe for this particular race. And this workout here on the 7th of December was very good. And here's the Japanese horses. Well, Tolson Basil working with Stephanos. And you can see Tolson Basil obviously an earlier race, but Stephanos is the one we're focusing on here. He's going quite nicely as well.
All right, we've seen
Been
a bit of
here and done that, right?
He has, absolutely, in the past. Well, let's start off with Poet's Word. We've discussed a little bit about where he'll settle in the run. Let's hear from the man himself, the jockey, Andrea Atzeni.
Andrea, I've had a bit to do with Poet's Word, who lines up in the Cup. The draw looks awkward, but overall, what do you make of his chances?
Yeah, his European form is pretty good, you know. He's a horse that's been on the up all year. He got better as the year went on. His last 2 runs were very good, you know. Obviously, he was second behind Cracksman in the Champion Stakes. And the time before that was a good run in the Irish Champion Stakes when he was second. And yeah, listen, like you said, we could have done a bit of draw, but we can't do anything about it now. And no, listen, he's got every chance.
From that draw, where would you like to position him in the run?
Well, he's a horse that stays well. He's obviously won over a mile and a half before. So, you know, we obviously have to speak to Sir Michael before the race and just sort of speak with him. But we'll be usually pretty forward with him, you know. There should be quite a bit of pace in the race, which it will help us. I think, but the main thing is to get in somewhere. I don't think the last thing we want is being stuck wide all the way around and giving ground away. So whatever we can get in, I think that's going to be the case, yeah.
So Andrea pretty much confirming that he's not going to want to drop in and be last. He's going to be positive.
Yeah, he's a quality horse, and they may break up a little bit with the pace foreseeable on top of the speed there with you know, Robin of Navan and also Time Warp. So that'll give him a chance to slot in, but it's not an ideal draw, as we know, Barrier 12.
All right. Well, speaking of Time Warp, let's have a look at him last time out, along with Werther, of course. Here, the two of them clashing. Time Warp in receipt of £5 on this occasion. He's still improving, granted, but he's got a bit more to find. And Secret Weapon, runner-up last year in this race. He should be spot on for Sunday. Yeah,
he's been building. I think Werther's had the best preparation of his career. I mean, it's been well documented by John Moore that last year it didn't all sort of work out for him. But this year it's been a faultless preparation. Time Warp certainly has emerged towards the end of last season and this season, but as you say, there's a little bit of a switch in the weights there in favour of Werther. He's spot on for it, Paul.
Yeah, it was only 90%, they said, for this race. This is his grand final. He's 100% now. I can't see Time Warp overturning it with clear runs.
He's won the Derby here, he's won the QE2 Cup, he's won the Champions and Chader, and I think he'll be adding something else to his CV on the week.
5 starts, course and distance, and he's won 4 times. The only horse to beat him in actual fact, is this horse we're going to have a look at now. This is Neo Realism in last year's QE2, so this is over the 2,000 metres. There was a mid-race move, that's already taken place at this point. It was a good ride from her on this occasion. Werther here with the headgear on, still was back then, and Secret Weapon further back.
Yeah, there were reasons they put the headgear on that occasion, but it's not required now. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Why he got defeated on this stage, Andrew, this day, was because it was a tactical move. Neo Realism was a little slow to get moving, and then halfway down the back, Moreira whipped around them and got them all rolling a long way out, and then he just kept on finding, and in the end, Werther wasn't able to get there. But, you know, there's potential, I guess, for a little bit of a mid-race move from something from the back, but you know, if Robin of Navan and Time Warp are on the lead and they're rolling along at fairly decent sectionals, that's going to nullify anything that wants to charge from the back, and it'll also work out as a positive, I think, for Werther.
Neo Realism's had one start since then, down the field in testing conditions in Japan. It's a big ask, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, obviously he didn't have the race to suit there, and it was a perfect ride from Joe Moreira. It was one of the rides of the season. I think he can run. He can run well. I've got him in the placings, but I haven't got him on top.
Yeah. Okay. Blonde Me. She travels. She loves it. This is in Canada. It's a Grade 1 race. But can she match against the boys here?
Look, there's a few little negatives against her. She's going to go back, and maybe the pace might not be what she wants. But as I said before, Time Warp will roll. It won't be a sit sprint. He won't want that either. The Canadian form, if you go right back through the history of the international races, has often stood up here in Hong Kong. I like her. I like what I've seen of her during the week, more importantly, and I think she can let down final stages, and she'll pick a few up in the stretch, and I think she'll run a big race. I understand it'll be her final race, so I'm expecting her to give something. She looks pretty genuine.
Yeah, she's won in Turkey this year as well, so a bit of a fairy tale finish possibly, but Paul...
Yeah, Werther, of course. Yeah. Werther on top. I think this is his race, and this is his grand final. He's going to be very tough to beat. To beat Poet's Word, he slots in. He's going to run a top race. Neo Realism, and the two Japanese runners I've got in for third and fourth, Neo Realism and Stefanos, but I'll be backing Werther.
There's a surprise. There's a surprise. I'm actually going to jump on your bandwagon, Paul. I'm going to tip him as well. I'm going to make him the best for the program, Werther. Andrew highlighted a very important stat over the course and distance. Faultless preparation, good barrier. So many ticks for Werther to win the big one. I will throw in Blonde Me. I think she can run a big race. She'll come from the back. She'll close off strongly. She's a real quality mare. Poet's Word, the draw is what's awkward for him, and Time Warp will bowl along, possibly get overhauled. Then again, he might keep finding, but I think 4:11.39 will be the way they finish.
Yeah, Werther's the one to beat. I think Secret Weapon, though, might be under the radar in a certain extent, so he'll be a cheeky each-way bet for me.